Last sunrise in Italy here as we head west to Mallorca.
We return to Mallorca, the largest of the Balearic Islands. Join us as we cross the 250 miles between southwest Sardinia and southwest Mallorca.
And the other bright news is that the moon is out. See it on the water over there.
We got a line caught in there one other time, and it blew a fuse, which is great because that means it doesn't keep, trying to wind the thing around it.
And we got a couple motor yachts heading out.
We're reminded of the beauty and the immense popularity of these Spanish islands. We last visited Mallorca when Sea Rose was brand new to us, a little over 3 years ago. We spent at least 4 weeks around Mallorca at that time, so if this interests you, watch our flashback video series, which covers that time and location. Anyway, back to the present.
Hi, I'm Tom.
And I'm Karen.
Welcome to Life 4.0, where we share our adventures of life on board our sailboat as we explore this amazing planet, one anchorage at a time.
This summer, we're crossing much of the Mediterranean, from Greece to Italy, Malta, Spain, including passing out through the Gibraltar Strait, then along the Portuguese coast before we finish in the Galicia area of northwest Spain.
We spend at least half of the year sailing, and the remainder enjoying the beautiful New England region of the United States. Last sunrise in Italy here as we head west to Mallorca. One other sailboat out here, and they have an angle coming into the island like they would have left from somewhere on the coast of France, like Toulon or something like that. So they've had a long voyage, but they timed it right because they're arriving here just at the beginning of the day so they can have some daylight to get anchored up. It's been a long day of motoring. We had a little bit of a breeze to sail this morning, but that gave up pretty quickly. But now the winds come up and also come from a better direction, a little bit more north. So we've got about 10 knots of wind, and we're sailing along at about 6 knots, so close hauled. So that's a welcome relief from hearing the engine run all day, and we can use the conservation of fuel, because if we had to motor the whole way, we'd be getting in there with very little fuel left. We're about a third of the way to Mallorca, so going well on the first day. We're about 12 hours in, so we have a little ways to go. You can see when I scroll out that there's a couple, just 2 AIS targets there. A ship and probably another ship down here, but normally we'd see a lot more traffic on a long passage like this, but not a lot of ships out there. And we've got, we're about a third of the way across, I would say, to the tip of Mallorca there. In these conditions, when we get a speed like we are now, about 10 knots of true wind, the boat just really picks up. It's doing 6.5 knots of speed through the water. Every knot of wind really counts, because if it goes down to like 7 or 8 knots, we're plugging along at like 4 to 4.5 knots of boat speed. So it's like every knot of wind goes almost directly into boat speed, and it makes a big difference in our progress. So 6.5 knots is awesome speed for our planned time to get across there. We were going pretty slow earlier when we had to motor into the chop and the sort of riprap, if you will, of contradictory waves, and it was slowing the boat speed down a lot. The hull would rise up and then slam down, and the speed would go down to like 3 knots, and then it would gradually creep up to 5 or 5.5 knots. So this is a lot better. The sea states calmed down a little bit as a result of more time going by with less wind. There's leftover sea state from the last couple of days of the Mistral, but as time goes on here, it gets a little bit more mellow, and the boat speed is a little bit more consistent and steady through the waves. Doing well with a good speed through the water and quietness, gentle peacefulness of sailing in the middle of the Med, far from land. So the wind has held nicely for the last couple hours. I'm getting ready to go off my watch here in a few minutes. But we've got 10 knots of true wind, and we've been doing speeds close to 6, sometimes 6.5. So that's been all good. And we've got a sun setting on the horizon there. The horizon's been really cool. It's been really crisp and sharp. No clouds anywhere for quite a few hours, probably most of the afternoon. So sharp as a razor all the way around. No ships, except a few in the distance in the AIS. Just a very nice evening here. A nice way to kind of end the daylight. It's getting close to 9 o'clock. I go off my watch in about 15 minutes, and I'll be up at midnight. So I'm going to try to get some sleep. I took a little nap this afternoon, so it's probably going to mess up my ability to go down and get sleep at 9. But I'll see what I can do. Sometimes it's less about the actual sleep. It's also the importance of just getting some rest and kind of resting your mind, not having to concentrate on the sails and chart plotter and watching the horizon, that kind of thing. That also gives you some brain relief for your next watch. But hopefully I'll get a little bit of sleep. I'll be up at midnight, and I'll be on midnight to 3 as Karen goes down and gets some rest, and then she's got to get up at 3 to do the 3 to 6. So I expect to see Karen popping up out of the companionway here in a little bit, and we'll do our switcheroo, and I'll go down to my off watch. Sun's almost down over the horizon. End of a great day. Out in the middle of the waters between Sardinia and the Balearic Islands. Alright, it's about midnight. I just came on watch, took over for Karen, and we are still sailing, which is great news. It's kind of a light breeze, probably about 8 to 10 knots, and we're doing 5 to 6 knots through the water, so it was a great conditions for sleeping and off watch. And the other bright news is that the moon is out. I see it on the water over there. So that's helped a lot with visibility and just kind of getting a sort of sense of bearings when you can see the horizon like that. Karen said she saw a sailboat coming the other way, and was not really visible at all on radar, so we got to figure that one out. They were in AIS, thankfully, but maybe they just had a bad radar profile, or we have to adjust something with our radar settings. So I'm on watch till 3, and we'll see how long this wind lasts. Start of day 2 on our crossing to Mallorca. Sunrise here. I just came on watch about a half an hour ago. And a beautiful morning here with the little clouds above the sun there. We've got a light breeze. We're still sailing, although we're motor sailing, which we started at about 2 a.m. And it's going pretty well. I'm pretty tired. As always, when you get erratic sleep overnight, it's sort of, in the morning time, it never really feels like you're fully there. But we'll see what we can do with that. We've got about 12 hours to go. It varies depending on what speed we're going right now, but we might get in there around 10 o'clock tonight if we can hold this speed. So we have the fortunate part of the moon being up, so we can navigate into an anchorage relatively well with the light of the moon. We can see land now. Up ahead is the outline of Mallorca, and we can't wait to get there. We've got probably 4 more hours or so to go, 3 or 4. This is the southern kind of tip of Mallorca. We're gonna go around there and behind there and try to find an anchorage. In a couple hours we will be officially in Spanish waters. I've already raised the Spanish courtesy flag in anticipation. I raised it up actually yesterday. So we are ready for Spain.
Okay, we are in the final stretch now on our crossing from Sardinia to Mallorca, and we're coming around this point over here behind me, and it's the southwestern point of the island, and we are just coming in almost at sunset and getting ready to drop our anchor and get some rest. We're looking forward to a nice night's sleep in the calm cove that we picked out. It's just about 4 miles around the corner. So hopefully that will be uneventful, and then we will start to explore Mallorca and head over to Ibiza, which we haven't seen yet. So we're really excited to go over there.
Coming in for our last few minutes, coming around the corner of the southeastern part of Mallorca, and behind Karen is the lighthouse. The light just came on, and it's a really nice view there on the point, sticking out very out part. There's actually a little bit more land of Mallorca, the island of Cabrera, the national park, way down there, but all the moorings were either taken or just not available with COVID. Try this little anchorage up here. There's a couple other boats already here, and hoping we can find room there, because the other option is about a half hour down the coast further, and by that time we'll lose our light. It's about 9:15, and you know, we've been at it for a day and a half, so we'd really love to get settled. So hoping we can find a little bit of spot for us to squeeze in here, joining up with a couple other sailboats. Up ahead we got this like silhouette of these multiple ridge lines of mountains that we're recalling from when we were first in Mallorca 3 years ago. It's really great to kind of see it. It's almost like a painting where one's a little brighter or darker than the one in the distance, and that one's a little bit grayer and grayer. Great outline there. Hopefully you can see that.
So last night when we were coming into the anchorage, I tried to turn on the bow thruster, which is turned on here. The lights came on, so I knew that it was getting power. And then I went to use it, and I heard it just started for a second, and then it stopped. We got a line caught in there one other time, and it blew a fuse, which is great, because that means it doesn't keep, trying to wind the thing around it. And so, oh, great.
It was tight at some spots, but then it just sort of worked itself loose after a little while.
Oh, great. And that was it.
Thinking it was left over from somebody else cutting it, and then we just caught it.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know. It could have got caught around the propeller.
Yeah.
At some point yesterday.
Huh.
I don't know.
Cool. So we'll replace the fuse, and then hopefully the bow thruster will work. But this happened one other time, and maybe it happens more with external bow thrusters, but it is what it is, and that's just the life of having a boat like this. We did the crossing from Sardinia, so we have no idea really where we picked this up. It could have been almost anywhere. Like Tom said, maybe somebody else cut it. It was just a line floating and got caught around the bow thruster. And then when we came in to anchor and tried to use it, it got caught in the propeller of the bow thruster. So anyway, hopefully it's just a fuse, and we'll have a working bow thruster shortly. Yeah, so you can actually see the connection in there is broke. So that's the whole purpose, to not continue to send a huge amount of electricity to an engine that is not able to turn. So hopefully we'll get this fuse replaced and everything will be happy.
Okay, so I've got this nut on there, that nut on there. I'm just checking their tightness. Again, you do not want to over tighten these guys, otherwise you're going to crack that fuse. And the fuse mounting is a little twisted, but I think it'll be alright. And now it's just a matter of putting the cover on, turning this thermal breaker off, and we'll test it out.
So Tom asked me to check that the power comes on. So the way you do that is you press these two on buttons, and that little light comes on. So it does. Yeah, it's on. So okay, I'm gonna try it. All right, seemed to work. He watched from the front and it pushed us away. Can actually see the leftover swirls over here from it pushing us over to the left. So yay, great, another job done. This is Cap Blanc on the southwest coast of Mallorca, and around the corner from here is Palma. And we just thought this area wasn't all that interesting, as we chose not to come here last year. But as we look over here, it's fascinating. There's just all these great little rock structures and tons of caves to explore. So in addition to where we were last night, which was lovely, which is further down there along the coast, this is really pretty. So we're going to cross the Bay of Palma, the large Bay of Palma, and go quite a ways into the distance over there, and go toward a place called Andratx. Very interesting pronunciation. Andratix. Andratx. So anyway, there's one of the towers that you see all along this part of Europe to protect the end of here, and then there seems to be a pretty lighthouse on the end as well.
We are near the port of Andratx. Andratx. And going around this pretty lighthouse here. It's too shallow between the lighthouse and the shore for us to go, so we're going around the outside. And it's a nice part of the coast here on the western tip of Mallorca. And I'm getting ready to inflate the paddle boards for the first time this season so we can get out and use those. And I'm coming around the point. And pretty steep cliffs, I would say. It's a little lighthouse on the end of this one. We're going to go around the outside of that and into the port of Andratx to get some fuel, spend the night, maybe get some provisioning. We haven't been to a store in quite a while. And then we'll head off to Ibiza. And the island in the distance is Dragonera, which we had hoped to get to, but the weather conditions aren't great for that. It's pretty exposed to the wind coming up today and the swell. So that'll have to be a next trip kind of thing. Coming around the final point here before we head in there to Andratx. And some cliff houses coming into view. Kind of puts the cliff house in San Francisco to shame. Point to land is so big I can't get it in my camera on my phone. Massive hunk of rock. Jaggedy rocks fell off the coast there. And we got a couple motor yachts heading out from Andratx, and we're gonna go right down in there. Apparently they have some mooring balls here, so we're going to try to pick up one of those. Can't anchor in the harbor, and so we'll do that. Get some fuel first, so we can be on our way to Ibiza tomorrow.
You're broken and you're shattered, point of no return.
Got the actual town of Andratx over here. To have a chance to explore that a little bit while we're here.
Sailing with the breeze, take a step into the river, where you will find peace, where you go.
After some shopping, we headed for a refreshing swim and found ourselves snorkeling with a couple of these guys. Andratx was the perfect place to provision, stroll the active waterfront, and enjoy a nice dinner ashore. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe to our channel and click on the bell to get notified of new videos. Join us next time for part 2 of our time in the Balearic Islands. We'll visit the party island of Ibiza, where Tom feels the need to get into the spirit of things. And we also make a stop at windswept Formentera, where we experience a nutty storm before we sail off to the mainland of Spain. Thanks for watching.
I will fly. So come to the water where you will find peace. Take a step into